One segment to go, and this is going to be an incredible segment. Two wonderful Microsoft people are going to talk to you, executives are going to talk to you about partnering and working together, and I thought I'd kick that off with a story about collaboration, about doing something big, and this takes place only 250 miles from where we all are right now. 250 miles that way. In 1998, a 41-foot unmanned module was lifted into low Earth orbit by Russia. 1 month after that event, a US shuttle took off and lifted another unmanned module into orbit as well, and then it connected the two of them together. That event marked the beginning of the International Space Station, arguably the most challenging and ambitious project ever undertaken by human beings, a project that would have been impossible a generation ago. This is a very big vision. Some people would call it science fiction. Picture this: 15 pressurized modules together with enough living space equal to about a 5-bedroom house with living quarters for a crew of 6. This thing is as big as a football field, has over an acre of solar panels to provide electricity. It weighs 1 million pounds and orbits the Earth every 90 minutes. It's traveled 1 billion miles to date. Now, if this was being built on Earth, some of you might think, well, what's the big deal? I mean, after all, human beings have built some pretty big, pretty impressive structures before. Some of them even fly. But building something like this in space, no one's ever tried to do that before. There isn't a rocket that exists that could lift something this huge into orbit. So the way this worked was, all the pieces had to be built on Earth by different teams at different times in different countries. Those pieces were then brought together to be launched into orbit, where they were carefully maneuvered and connected together, mating perfectly with pieces that might have been built years earlier by a different team from a different country. In all, there are 70 major component pieces in the space station and hundreds of smaller component pieces. And all of this has taken 45 shuttle launches to get up there. All of the assembly is done while traveling through space at 17,500 miles an hour. The collaboration required to pull this off has been completely unprecedented. Over 100,000 people have worked on the space station project to date, from 5 space agencies, 18 governments, and literally hundreds of corporations. They've had to agree on every detail of this, with the lives of the crew constantly at risk. It's been a Herculean task of collaboration, and yet because of the vision, they've pulled it off. Now, you don't just fire a rocket off into a space one day when you feel like it. So all of the planning has to be done years in advance so that it matches the shuttle launch schedules. Everyone on the global team has a plan that they agree to, and each of them buys into their piece of the plan. And the agreement is everything everyone does has to fit into what's been done before and provide a platform for future growth. Sound familiar? This is an environment, of course, where anything can go wrong, though. So the ability to adapt to change and crisis is critical. For example, when the Challenger shuttle, the Columbia shuttle, exploded in 2003, the U.S. canceled its shuttle program for 2.5 years. Those shuttles had been providing food and other resources to the crew already up on the space station. So Russia had to step in and figure out a way how to fulfill that part of the mission. It wasn't planned for and there was no contingency, but they figured it out and did it until 2005 when the American shuttle program resumed. Today, this incredible structure is floating 250 miles above Earth and has been continually habited by human beings for over 11 years. 202 people have lived on it or visited it, representing scientists and astronauts from 16 countries and 17 space tourists. It's a big research lab where the crew conduct experiments in biology, physics, and astronomy, which they're hoping may someday point to cures for great diseases or for some of the big problems facing humanity on planet Earth. But the real triumph of the space station, I think, is something different.
We are the experiment. And initially when people hear me say that, they think that I'm talking about the crew members being guinea pigs for life sciences experiments. And certainly there's an element of that. We give a little blood and other things in pursuit of that kind of research. But when I say we are the experiment, I'm talking about the entire team of government agencies and the international partnership and all the contractor teams that support in the development of the ISS, the hardware, software, the integration, the testing, the assembly, and then the day-to-day operations. All of that is so significant in scope and magnitude and complexity, but the team has pulled it off. To that extent, I think that that is the great experiment of ISS.
As incredible as the space station is a triumph of technology, more so I think it's an incredible triumph of the human spirit. It's shown that if you bring people together from around the world and give them a common vision, whether it's building a station in space or helping a customer to change the way they do business, if you can get people focused on the outcome so that they put aside their personal and their political agendas to truly collaborate and partner, to work together, if you can get them thinking about possibility and not worried about the differences between them, well, that kind of thinking is what has got us a station in space. And to me, that's the kind of thinking that is going to create real success in the cloud. And no, it isn't rocket science. And with that story, to talk about partnership for the rest of the afternoon, I'd like to ask Marco Limina to come back up to introduce our two afternoon guests. I'll see you all in a little bit. Thank you.